So Dandava pranams and welcome to all to our Thursday Bhagavad Gita session. And special hello to those who just joined, Govinda and Martya. So we are coming to the end of chapter 6 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And we more or less concluded with discussing this important verse. What number is it exactly? Verse 40. So if you have your books in front of you, this verse 40, there's quite an important line which our Padam Guru Dev, our grandfather Guru, Srila Bhakti Raksha, Sridhar Dev Goswami has discussed quite extensively this principle. Nahi kalyana krit kaschid dorgatim tata gachati. Which means, one who desires to do good, they will never be defeated. And, one thing which we didn't mention, which I think I meant to, but it slipped my mind, that Krishna, he's speaking to Krishna, he's speaking to Arjuna in a very loving tone here. This word tata, oh dear one, it's here in the word for word translated as, oh dear one. So he's speaking in a very affectionate and intimate tone to his beloved friend. This is something to remember, as from time to time as we're going through Bhagavad Gita, that these are all like very loving instructions that are coming from the Lord to his friend. Arjuna is a dear friend. And that actually extends to all of us. Suhridam sarvabhutanam. Ami bina bandhu ar kehache tomar. This idea of the Lord as our friends, we find it coming up repeatedly in our songs, prayers from our teachers. The Lord is always addressed in the informal tone, because in Bengali and Sanskrit, there are different ways of speaking to people. There's more intimate, there's more formal, more respectful. There's at least 3 different ways in which you will adjust your speech according to who you're speaking to. And in all of the prayers that are shown by our gurus, they're always adopting the intimate tone that you would normally use only for your close friend or for children. You wouldn't normally speak to your guru or teacher in that way, or what to speak of the Lord. So we're being shown the Lord is our friends. Ami bina bandhu ar kehache. Who else other than myself is your friend? Lord Chaitanya is saying in one place, I'm your only true friend, actually. I'm the only one truly representing your real need and your real one. So I am your real friend. So we see that also in Bhagavad Gita. It's not just a dry philosophical discourse, but there's love here. It's this song. There's beauty here. This Gita means a song. It's not an essay. It's not a philosophical treatise. It's a song to his friends. So there's this sweetness and beauty and love. And the fact that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is personally driving like a taxi driver. He's the chauffeur of his friends. The Supreme Lord is taking this humble position. So there's so much sweetness and love and beauty and personal care, in the background of Bhagavad Gita, and we don't want to forget that, So he's saying, "Oh dear one, oh dear one," and we also see that there's that chapter, the universal form, coming later, and Arjuna, he's like confronted with this very majestic form of the Lord, like the Vishvarup, the universal form of the Lord with so many arms and legs, and you're seeing how he's maintaining, curating the universes, destroying the universe, like this great, majestic, powerful, awe-inspiring aspect of the Lord is being presented, and Arjuna's like kind of like cowering, and then there's even one place that he's apologizing. Oh, my Lord, I've spoken to you so intimately. Hey, Yadava, hey, Bandhu, like, oh, my friend, oh, my buddy, please forgive me. I forgot, like, you're actually this great almighty being, but we've sat on the same bed together. We've eaten together. We've embraced and we've spoken in so many intimate ways. And I forgot your great, powerful position. Arjuna's apologizing. Oh, please forgive me. But actually, that intimate aspect of the Lord, that's something higher. That's something higher, where the Lord's intimate approach is eclipsing his position of power. And then I find Arjuna is like, oh Lord, please, I don't want to see this form anymore. Like, please go back to that human-like form. I prefer that form. And Krishna prefers that form also, and he prefers these loving, intimate exchanges. So that's something to remember. Everything's coming from a place of love. And actually that love is like, it's an activating principle. It's an activating agent. If someone gives us, even like in the ordinary world we experience, right? If someone gives us some instruction or advice and it's just coming from a kind of textbook place, it doesn't really find a place within us. But if someone tells us with love, feeling like this is advice that is specifically for you, that's really going to find a place in our heart. That's going to really mesh with our consciousness. We're going to really follow that, take it to heart. So our gurus, they're giving us instructions that are just for us, with love, with affection. And if we can recognize that and receive it in that spirit, it will really transform our lives. We need these things to really touch our hearts. If we're just connecting like through the mind, or we're connecting through the body, it's not a stable position to be in. But if we can allow these things to actually touch our hearts, then they will really transform our lives. So that's something, as I said, that's something to remember as we're going through Bhagavad Gita. This is all Krishna saying, oh, my dear one, my beloved, my friends, please listen to my advice. And then that's being extended to us. Welcome, Evie's also just joined us. So going back, we just wanted to review how we concluded last time, because it's such an important point. So this verse here, we're looking at verse 40. One who is sincere to do good will never be defeated. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he rendered this as sincerity is invincible. That if we are sincere to do good, if we are sincere to follow the path, there may be some stumbling blocks along the way. We may trip up here and there, but ultimately we're going to get there. Ultimately, we're going to get there because the Lord's looking at our intention. It's like this is a university of intention, not like what your current exam score is or what your current conduct is, but what's your intention? That's what's being assessed here. That's how we're being graded. How pure is pretty unique, isn't it? If only the world worked like that too. That's what they're looking at. And last week, I believe we were also discussing this point about the ideal. We should judge a person according to their ideal, not their current behavior, current conduct, but what is it that they're striving towards? So this is a school of the ideal. This is a school of intention. Who are accepted in here? It's not based on your performance. A for effort. Thank you, Jayadev. Exactly. Only your efforts being counted, your effort and your intention. So it's true, actually, there is some consideration of that in this world to some extent. But there it's all about that. It's not a performance-based operation, but intention-based, effort-based, sincerity-based. So sincerity is invincible. And along the way, we may, because of our current, mental condition and shortcomings, we may make wrong decisions. We may go down the wrong path here and there. But if in our heart we hold that sincere intention, we really want to do the right thing, we will get there eventually. And the Lord will help us to get there. He'll open the right doors for us so that we can get there. Okay. So we ended, that was more or less where our discussion ended. And then we did go ahead. We read through the following verses. And Krishna is speaking about how, somebody may, start out on the spiritual path and they may fall down midway, go but revert back to their previous mundane inclinations. But then their next life, they'll pick up where they left off. And Krishna is saying here, I will arrange, they'll take birth in a family they will take birth in a family that will be supportive, that will they will be provided with an environment that is conducive to their continued progress in the spiritual line. And also I think I ended with this pointing out this one phrase in verse 44, which I like. It gives me a lot of encouragement. Avasha api, which means despite himself. So means that saying that this person will be continue to progress despite themselves. It just encourages me so much. Despite himself, he is carried by the yoga practice of his previous life. In his search, he surpasses the fruitive rituals of the Vedas. So this is an interesting thing. And we can also bring in this word Sukriti, which many of you are familiar with. Sukriti means kind of like those good credits, spiritual credits, which we've acquired as a result of our previous reciprocation with the spiritual plane. Like say you've rendered some service to a great saint, even unknowingly, you're getting some of these divine credits, and they will support your continued progress. So someone who's like in a previous life, they may have like really given their all to spiritual practice, but because of their karma and circumstances, they may get distracted and pulled waylaid on the path. But then in their next life, they've got that solid foundation. They have that sukriti, that spiritual background behind them, supporting them. So that will push them ahead, even though their minds, their karma may take them in different directions. That sukriti, and you see it sometimes in persons, and we may experience ourselves, right? It's like you hear that expression at the 11th hour, right? Like that help can come. We see that sometimes, like someone's like really about to go way off track, and then all of a sudden that like previous fortune will come forward and assert itself, and they'll be put back on track again. These things, when you see those things happen, it's because of this previous good fortune, this previous sukriti that they're holding. So sometimes despite ourselves, we're moving forward, because of that. And there's also grace, there's also causeless grace, haituki kripa, that also can be a factor, receiving the mercy of the saints, of the Vaishnavas, that can also come unexpectedly and support us. So we're always hoping for these kinds of, favorable situations to carry us through. I think I'll conclude with, we can look a little bit at these verses 46 and 47. These are kind of important verses. We can chant these also, 46 and 47. Tapasvi bhyodiko yogi gyani bhyopi matodikaha karme bhyashtadiko yogi tasmad yogi vavarjuna yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana Shadavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. So why are these verses important? Can anyone have any thoughts? Do you want to have a look at these two verses and share some thoughts that come to mind? Or we can read the Scarlet. Do you want to read the translations for those two, 46 and 47? Scarlett's looking shy.
I am so sorry. Please forgive me. I have dyslexia. I can't. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Please forgive me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Evie, do you have confidence to read that? There are some Sanskrit words in there, but not too many.
I actually don't have it open. I'm so sorry.
Right,
No, because
okay.
I was running late, so I just connected through my phone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, then Marie, it's down. Oh, Tungarasa just turned on her camera. I think she's volunteering. You had this determined look on your face, like, I'm gonna do it.
I can try, Shaka. you please correct me when I will make the mistake. Is it 46?
46 and 47, please.
The yogi is superior to persons engaged in several austerities, such as the Chandrayana vow. Superior to the person of knowledge who worships Brahman, and superior to the person of action. Know this to be my conclusion. Know this to be my conclusion. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi. The best of all yogis is the devotee who has full faith in the authoritative pure devotional scriptures, and who adores me with all his heart, hearing and singing my divine glories, rendering all services unto me. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Tungarasa. So does anyone have any thoughts, on this point? What is the significance of what is one of the significant points that's being raised here in these verses? Does anyone have any thoughts? Okay. Is everything one? This is my question. Is everything one?
No, this is the superiority of bhakti. Is described here or not?
Yes, exactly. There's a gradation that's being described here. There's a gradation. And this is a point where some people may opt out. Oh, I don't know about these Hare Krishnas. They think they're the best. And I said to one person, we should think we're the best. Like, otherwise, why are we doing this? Like, we should be doing what we think to be the best. Otherwise, why do it? You should have that type of conviction in what you're doing.
But actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was thinking that actually, Krishna says that when he compare these different practices, and he says that my conclusion that be yogi Arjuna. So then other practices, is it not the yoga? We say karma yoga and buddha yoga, and I don't know, several practices they also called as a yoga.
Well, in that same verse, the karma yoga is being referred to, right? So obviously he's not saying be a karma yoga. So
they say person of action, is it not like karma yoga? No?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So he's being a little specific, and what's being indicated is he's referring to bhakti yoga. The verse karmi byas chadiko yogi, karmi here, the karma yogi is being referred to. So when he says yogi here, he's indicating a bhakti yogi. But the main point I wanted to make here, and the thing is, these verses, they can be interpreted in different ways. And unfortunately, I don't have my own copy. I have a lot of notes. But yeah, because it is, Krishna is leaving it a little open, perhaps deliberately. These verses can be interpreted in different ways. But the main point I wanted to raise here is that there's a gradation. This is the point that, we are ready to honor every school of thought and every religion, but we cannot deny that there is a gradation. Gradation is something that is inherent within existence, in everything, in food that you eat. There's some food which is better than others. There's some food which tastes better than others, that looks better than others. There's a gradation in beauty, in what we see and what we taste and what we touch. In relationships, there's a gradation. There are friends who are close to us. There are friends who are not close to us. No, there's a gradation in everything in existence. So that's why we can never subscribe to this conception that everything is one. It's a very popular idea, and it kind of makes things a lot easy, doesn't it? It just makes life a lot easier. It's kind of like a lazy way out. You know, it's like, no, we believe in diversity, and we also believe in a gradation. You know, it is natural in school. It's not that we're saying that these other schools of thought, they don't have validity. Of course they have validity. Just like in school, class 1 has validity, class 2 has validity, class 3 has validity. They all have their authenticity and purpose. But we cannot say class 1 is the same as class 10. That would be foolish. So this is a truth which not everyone is happy to accept, you know, because it's more, in a sense, it's more harmonious and easy and simple to just say, oh, it doesn't matter if you worship Buddha or you worship Jesus or you worship Krishna. It doesn't matter. Everything's going to the same place, right? Or be a karmi yogi, be a bhakti yogi, be a jnani yogi, or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. That's, no, this is ridiculous, actually. No, we will say we honor Jesus, we honor Buddha. No, like if Buddha was to come, Jesus was to come here, like how wonderful that would be. You know, what a great exalted being. But I'm not going to say Jesus is the same as Krishna. And if I worship Jesus, I'll go to the same places if I worship Krishna. No. Just like in a school, every class has its purpose and has its own particular sweetness and so on. And I am happy to honor kindergarten students in one way. I'm happy to honor class 1 students in another way. And I'll honor class 10 students in another way. And I'll honor class, degree level PhD. They all deserve honor, but not in exactly the same way. So, a lot of what Krishna consciousness is about, Gaudiya Vaishnavism is about, is entering into a more nuanced conception of the nature of reality and religion. Okay, can you appreciate nuance? Like if we're gonna have like a, which we won't have, of course, but if we did have like an exam you had to pass before you entered the school of Gaudiya Vaishnavism or Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Math, I would include this question. Can you appreciate nuance? Are you ready to appreciate a nuanced, refined, sophisticated conception of the nature of reality? Are you ready for that? Not just going to boil everything down into one thing. Or it has to be this way, or it has to be that way. But no, we're entering into a very sophisticated, developed, fine, nuanced understanding of who is God. What does he eat for lunch? Like who makes his bed for him? And all these things, like these fine things. And what does he do when he wakes up? And what does he do in the afternoon? There's a whole description of like 8 Ashtakaliya Leela, like 8 periods of the day in 24 hours, 8 periods of the day. What does he do in each of those 8 periods? And who is he with in those 8 periods? And what are the names of all those persons? Like, there's so much information that's given, And what are his expansions and what roles do they play? There's a plurality within divinity. There's a gradation, but there's also a plurality. So what is Vishnu's place? He's one of the expansions, And what's the nature of the it's not just a heaven and a hell and a purgatory. No, that's actually a very simple way of understanding the nature of reality. And it's not just a simple linear thing. The world was created, the end. It's a cycle. There's such a depth of science that is behind all of this. And nothing else can really compare to that. So it's here we're being given this detailed understanding. Other religions, they're kind of giving a view that's a little bit at a distance. They're having a proper view, but it's a little remote. So it's like a bit vague, you know, like if something's far off and you can't quite see it clearly, you know. So, but here there's so much detail that's being given. They're all seeing the same thing, but it's just at a bit of a distance, that's all. But here it's like we're zooming right in, you know. So, so here in this verse, and if you look in the entry, for those of you who have the book in front of you, yes, Marie, that's also true, you know, because it also depends on like what, you know, intentionally vague. And the Vedas are also like that. They're intentionally vague in many places, because it's not that everyone is in the right place to hear it. No, actually, for the most part, the Vedas are vague. For the most part, they're vague. You know, they're like, oh yeah, there's something up there. You know, we call it Brahman, this like white light. Mostly the Vedas are pointing in that direction. We just don't know what's beyond, you know. But then in some places in the scriptures, there are some descriptions of this Bhagavan and you know, this personal entity of divinity and this Krishna. But it's only in one scripture, like amongst all the like so many scriptures that are included within the Vedic canon. There's only one scripture that's actually like very specifically, you know, presenting these teachings. That's Srimad Bhagavatam, which we can also add was the concluding scripture. So that tells you something. So yes, that there is a vagueness that is given intentionally. We were discussing this maybe yesterday, this hidden treasure. Hidden treasure. Oh, it's here. Cover of this and subtitle of this of our edition of Bhagavad Gita. Hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. It's hidden because it's not that everyone is ready to embrace this. And really what it comes down to is how much we are ready to accommodate, giving every aspect of our being to this, because that's what Krishna consciousness entails, that we need to give cent per cent 24 hours a day. So it's a lot that's, you know, because once you come to this realization, oh, Krishna is everything and everything's for him. Wow, what a happy surprise. Dandava, Krishna Kanti Devi. Very good to see you. We're in a Zoom meeting. You can say hello.
Yes. I'll just sit here.
You can sit here. You can sit here.
Okay.
It's Krishna Kanti Devi, our senior god sister.
Dandavad.
Dandava.
So yes, there is an element of that hidden treasure. You know, you have to dig a little bit for why, because you have to really want it and you have to be ready to enter into this conception. You know, everything is for him and nothing's for me. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Let it go.
It's a lot. So it's not that, you know, God is someone who takes care of us, but we've got to take care of him. You know, not God is the provider, but we need to provide for him. You know, there's this, you know, there's a gradation, right, in conception, and you know, so we hear of this tadiya tattva. Means it's indicating coming into this conception of I belong to the Lord. You know, tadiya literally it means something like his, right? So one will come to this, and this is a very high place to be, to feel wholesale in our heart, I belong to him. Like this is our wholesale identity. But then there's something even higher than that. Madhya means he's mine. Not that I belong to him, but he belongs to me, and I need to take care of him. So Krishna's most intimate devotees, like, his mother, his father, his friend, that's their whole conception. We need to take care of him. He can't manage without us. So what type of surrender is required for that? So anyway, we went off on that point for a while, but anyway, this is the main point, that and as I said, these verses, unfortunately, I don't have my notes, but these verses, they are analyzed in slightly different ways by different teachers, different gurus in our line. But this is the main idea that there's a gradation, and also within Bhagavad Gita, there's a gradation of instruction that is given. But Krishna is saying, but what is very clear in this final verse here, yoginam, amongst all types of yogis, those who are approaching me with love, right? This word, when you say yoga or yogi, it's a broad thing, right? And it means someone who is approaching the Lord through some type of discipline, through some type of regulated practice. It's kind of, the root of this word is yuj, which means to yoke. Yoga, the root is yuj, means to yoke, like to yoke yourself to the divinity. It means that we are approaching the divinity through some particular discipline for our upliftment, right? And then there are different ways through what that may be done. Karma yoga, through our action, through regulated action. Jnana yoga, by cultivation of austerity, knowledge, we're yoking ourselves with divinity. But then there's bhakti yoga, through the heart, coming to the core of our being, trying to connect ourselves. This word connect is also used for yoga. We're trying to connect ourselves to the divinity through the heart. So Krishna is saying here very clearly, those who approach me in this way, through the heart, through this mood of affection, who adore me, singing and chanting my glories, offering everything to me, these are the highest. They touch me the most. So this gradation is being discussed here. So then we come to the end of that chapter 6. Does anyone want to add any comments, thoughts, or pose any questions at this point before we move on to the next chapter? Oh, Jarshi is here too. Wow. Look at that. Okay, so should we move on then? Okay, then we'll move on to chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, knowledge and realization of the Supreme. So this, just looking at the title, it's so illuminating, isn't it? Our Gurudev made that point once. He said, I haven't had time to read all of my guru's books, but just hearing the titles, I get so much inspiration. So just reading this title is this very knowledge and realization, right? There's a distinction, there's a difference between the two, like knowing something theoretically, but then actually living it, realizing it, having it manifest within our heart. Didi, sorry, Didi, could you close, because there's an echo because the speaker. Thank you, Didi. So there's a difference between these two. Conceptualization, and there's an interesting comment Srila Sridhar Maharaj made about this. Anjali, you can sit here. Can say hello to everyone. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he made this point too. Anjali Devi Dasi serving here very beautifully in the temple. Srila Sridhar Maharaj made this point that there's a comment he made, through proper conceptualization, realization will come. Something like this. We heard this from Devashish Prabhu, maybe Tungarasa can remember exactly. But that, of course, in some rare cases, someone may just have like a heart download, like if someone is particularly clear then they can just have, like it's mentioned, I believe Bhakti Vinod Thakur, but it's mentioned by one of our gurus that someone can jump, because we hear of these three classes of devotees, right? The Kanishta, beginner, Madhyam, middle, Uttam, highest, right? And we hear it's that if a Kanishta Adhikar devotee, like a beginner level devotee, gets the association of an Uttam Adhikar, highest level, they can totally bypass the middle stage. That's it's possible. And because another interesting point is that Srila Sridhar Maharaj makes this point too, that the Madhyam, the middle position is a little dangerous, because in that middle position is when you enter into deeper conceptualization. And then like getting too stuck on the knowledge track, the brain track, that can be a risk. So it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a dangerous zone, that middle zone. Once you're developing in your understanding, it can be easier to get taken off by these other tracks, So it's like you're like, just to be like in that totally fresh, like baby state, be totally open. And to get the association of a top level Vaishnava, like you can just totally bypass the whole middle zone, So there may be some rare instances of that, like someone's heart is totally open, they're approaching with such a great depth of purity and sincerity, they can just receive, like in their heart. And our Gurudev would talk about this, everything will be revealed in the heart. So that is possible. But those are special cases, and that's why we have to be careful and try to cultivate the proper understanding, sambandha gyan, right? Cultivate a proper understanding of what is our true nature, what is the environment, and all these things. So, yeah, and then from that, from that kind of like clean platform on, then this high, then real realization, revelation can come. Can develop from that. So, but yes, we want to make that distinction, right? That there's a difference between what we know and what we've actually realized, and sometimes our egos can be kind of humiliated in this regard, right? Where we think we've realized it, but then we understand, we haven't realized it, we knew it. But like, I know the theory very well, but when it comes down to the practice, I can't do this. I can sit and talk for hours about the value of being humble, being tolerant, and being respectful. But in the moment, just all goes out the window. And then so on and so forth. So this distinction is being made here. Okay, well, we're almost at the end of our meeting, but we can read a few verses here. Jayadev, are you available? Do you want to lead us in the Sanskrit? That's always a treat. Or maybe he's busy.
Dandavat, let's see, I don't have it in front of me. I'm getting ready for work and listening.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I might be able to pull it up, but which verse is it again?
We're beginning chapter 7.
Oh, that's easy. Chapter 7, you said? And also my
Yeah.
connection may be a little wonky, so I do apologize if anything bad happens there. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7. Oh, that'll be, okay, one moment. ... Contents. And chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga.
Yeah, let's just go with the first 4 verses.
Okay, thanks. I like not having that gray area where I'm not sure whether I go on or not. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Manahparta Yogam Yunchan Madashraya Asumshayam Samagram Mam Yata Nya Yasita Charnu. Let's see here. Make my font a little smaller. Jnanam teham sa vijnanam idam vakshamya sheshatah yajñatva neha bhuyo jnatavyam avashishyate. Manushanam sahasreshu kaschid yattati siddhaye yattataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tat tattvaha. And 4. Bhumarapanya nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahamkara ityamme bhina prakrityashthada. There we go. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tiger.
Dhanyavad.
Marie, do you want to read those verses? The translation?
If I can remember how to unmute myself.
You're unmuted.
I am or I am not. Yeah, okay.
We can hear you.
I've done it now. I hadn't done it before. I'm like, yes, I will go look at the verses and read them. And then I'm like, no, I better turn on the microphone. Okay. That was 1 through 4, right?
Yeah.
The Lord said, O Partha, hear from me how, with mind attached to me, the Supreme Lord, linking your consciousness with me and taking refuge in me alone, you will without doubt be able to know me, my holy abode, my opulences, and my associates. Now I shall reveal to you this knowledge of my absolute power, as well as the realization of my sweetness, knowing which nothing will remain to be known here on this supreme path. Of countless souls, few reach the human form. Of thousands of human beings, very few may try to realize the soul and the super soul. And of thousands who have attained such realization, hardly one can actually know me. Sayama Sundara.
Shama Sundar.
Shama Sundar. Okay. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego are the 8 divisions of my illusory potency in this world. And then there's commentary. In this verse, it is expressed that jnana, or knowledge, in the true sense of the word and in accordance with the precepts of devotion, is actually Bhagavad Aishvara Jnana, or knowledge of the supremacy of the Lord. The general seekers of knowledge may consider realization of the soul as distinct from the body and material elements to be enlightenment, but this does not constitute ultimate knowledge. Thus, to explain the conception of his lordship, the Lord reveals his forms, his potencies, and their characteristics. My different aspects are Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagavan. Brahman is a non-differentiated, formless aspect of my potency. Paramatman, the super soul, is also an appearance of my potency in relation to the cosmic manifestation, and this aspect of mine is not eternally manifest. Only my form of Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, is my eternal self, and in this form my 3 eternal potencies exist as Antaranga, or Shakti, the internal divine potency, Bahiranga, or Maya Shakti, the external illusory potency, and Tatastha, or Jiva Shakti, the marginal potency comprising the innumerable living beings. In this verse, the Lord has described his external illusory potency, and that was the commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Okay, thank you. So this is all really nice as a follow-on to what we were just discussing before. Nuance, right? Refined conception. So all these types of details are being, and we can maybe go into this more next week because we're coming to the end and we did already, we don't want to overload too much our brains here. But yeah, we're just continuing on with the theme from before. It's a science, right? It's a map. You could also see it as a map, like we're mapping, Bhagavad Gita is mapping reality for us, and all these these details are being given. The Lord, his different energies, his expansions, where do we fit in the middle of all of this? You know, what is, and then what is this verse 4 is quite helpful. I mean, actually, there's so much we can go into here, so I will save it for next week. But you know what? Like, there's more detail. What is the nature of this material energy? You know, what is it made of? So all these things are being discussed here, and also this verse 3. It's one that's quoted often. Actually, Janardhan Maharaj here, he quotes this almost every talk that he gives. This verse number 3, Manushyanam Sahasreshu. It's speaking about the rarity of coming to the path of devotion to the Lord. You know, first of all, to reach the human form, that's already something very precious and very rare. The Vedas describe 8,400,000 species of life. And, you know, the human species is a tiny sliver of that. The human species, which has the developed consciousness to be able to enter into this, you know, approach, you know, has the capacity to realize the spirit and enter into a conscious, loving relationship with divinity. That's only possible, generally speaking, for the, you know, for the human, you know, because we have that developed consciousness. So to take a human birth is already rare. But then mostly those who've taken the human birth are squandering that opportunity. No. Because the other thing about the human birth is you have a greater capacity to enjoy. You can enjoy in a much more developed and sophisticated way than animals can, you know, with our brain power and with our senses and all these things. You know, we're doing pretty much the same things as the animals, but in a much more sophisticated way. You know? And we can also add in a way that has so many repercussions that are damaging to ourselves and the environment. You know, it's not like we just have our little cave or our little litter, our little corner where we enjoy, but we've developed technology that allows us to exploit the resources of the entire planet, so we can enjoy so much more. You know, however, there are, of course, repercussions for that. So that's the thing, you know. Mostly humans like, oh wow, we've got this wonderful body, and you know, there's so many ways in which we can make ourselves more beautiful and more fit, and we can enjoy. So, you know, not only are we enjoying the food in our little part of the world, but we can import food from every corner of the world. You know? Like any average person nowadays, like if you just open your fridge, you've got like foods from every continent. You know, you've got your tahini, which is like normally like a Middle Eastern thing, you know, and you know, your hummus, and you've got mangoes that were flown in from Mexico, you know, like it's just all over, you know. Right, I like that, Marie. We plan the enjoying, and like there's a whole process around it. Like if people are going on holiday, right? You plan it out 1 year ahead, you know. So generally we're using, and if you're not on that side, if your karma is not so good, then you're suffering and you're wishing you could enjoy, right? And we're forgetting the fact that that's not what this human birth is for. No, actually, with Janma, what is it? Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam Cha, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So eating, right? We're doing that, and the animals are doing that, but we're doing it in a much more sophisticated way. You know, sleeping. You know, again, there's like sleeping, there must be like a multi-billion industry surrounding sleeping. How can you sleep? You know, there's pillows and supplements and beds and mattresses and blankets and sheets and and the science behind it and circadian rhythms and how do you maximize this and maximize, like, it's a huge thing. How can you sleep? Animals just go and sleep. We've got this whole thing around sleeping, which direction, and and then mating, sex life. Again, animals, it's like they just have sex and it's over. Humans, this whole world around it, and then defending, right? Animals just fight over their little corner of the woods, but we've developed atomic bombs to defend what we think is our property. Like, we literally have technology that could destroy the whole world within a few moments. Like, literally, like, no exaggeration, right? That's how that's the level we've taken defending to. But dogs, they'll just like urinate in their little patch. So this is my area, don't cross this area. This is my woman, don't touch my woman. Right? Like, that's where animals are at. We'll be like ready to kill people and destroy the whole planet in the cause of defending. Right? So basically, we're doing the same thing, but in a vastly more sophisticated, complex, and reactionary way. Srila Sridhar Maharaj describes it as a boomerang, right? He's saying, I see your hand raised, Scarlett, or one second. Srila Sridhar Maharaj described modern technology, so-called scientific advancement. It's like a boomerang. And all it's doing is increasing our karmic the circumference of our karma. So instead of like just having like a small circle of karmic reactions, there's this whole complex reactionary karma that's going to have to come right back at us like a boomerang. So instead of just a little bit of karma, it's a whole lot of karma, to reduce it to simple language. And it's all going to come right back down to the penny, he said, like with interest. It's all got to be paid for. And it's a frightening thing. If you think about like these phones, like what type of blood, sweat, and tears and exploitation is behind these phones that we use. It's scary to think about that. That's why the only solution is to live in that spirit of offering. That's the only solution. Otherwise, we're responsible for every last thing. Scarlett, you have your hand raised, please.
Yes, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to you all. There are three things which, when I read the Bhagavad Gita, say something that in my understanding, says that everything, whatever happens, whatever we do, whatever we go through, it's planned. In one place, Lord Krishna says, nothing happened without my controlling, my permission. Maya and Krishna. Maya worked for Krishna. So everything we have in Maya, in this human reality, is Maya working for Lord Krishna. So in that way, I wonder, is it really that we know what we do, what we go through? Is it really what we have control over? Is it really what is, for instance, I born as a child, I decided this, that, from childhood until when I die. I really knew what I did and everything until when I die. Is it really like that? In some country, I was born in the Muslim family, and I never heard about anything about whatever you do now, you saw now, you're going to born again, and then you're going to pay for it, or you are going to answer for it, or you have to learn about, not, the karma. It's whatever you sow, you reap. So I I don't get it. Is it really, really, really something that we have control over? Is it not that it's kind of plan, Lord Krishna's plan, that Lord Krishna wants it this way?
Well,
I don't know if I said it in the
Yes.
correct way.
no, it's
Yes.
it's a good question. There are many factors involved. There are many factors that are involved here. And first of all, it is true that the degree of our free will is limited. It's mentioned we actually have a small amount of free will. Why? Because according to our previous activity, we built a particular mindset and we're facing a particular field of karma, right? It's just like, say someone who's a drug addict. It's very hard for them to give it up because they have that what's the word I'm looking for? Old habits die hard. These things are ingrained, like their operating system has been calibrated in a particular way. And these things are like deeply entrenched in their system. So to change their operating system, it's difficult, very difficult. So we've created a particular mindset. And we've created we have particular attachments and karma and all these things and taste. Yeah, Marie, I was also thinking that maybe I should delay it till Tuesday because it's a big discussion. But just to give a brief answer, so we do have a limited amount of free will, but we do have that amount. We do have some free will, so there is something there. And it's also true that there is an element of the fact that the Lord has created this world for his own play. So he can come in and Srila Maharaj has mentioned this. So he can come in as a hero and help everyone and save everyone. The perfect needs imperfect to prove its perfection. So the Srila Maharaj makes that point too. So, but I agree with Marie. Let's discuss this more on Tuesday because it is a big topic. And we have another question. How can we cry for Krishna? Okay, I think I'm gonna, and I have a meeting, someone waiting for me now. I have to go. Just looking here at Narottam's comment here. So yeah, let's interaction of free will and predestination is a whole thing. Yes, absolutely. Okay. We're going to end the meeting for today, but nice question, Scarlett, and we'll please tune in on our Tuesday question and answer session, and we will discuss more. So wonderful to be here with all of you. I think, is Gangalila available to pray us out, or you're on your way to the airport, so maybe not?
Almost. I'm packed. I'm almost on the way to the airport. So I feel that it is a wonderful thing for us to continue to have all these questions arising and ponder. And some of it we can resolve here, and Vishaka could help us. But I think this is part of what we need to have, questions arising, and then also within see what answers are coming. May we be in that continuous conversation with Krishna, and maybe we can all unmute, if that's possible, to chant the Hare Krishna mantra together 3 times. Lots of blessings. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,